So do you want to introduce yourself first?
No, I think you should.
Okay. All right. Wait, see, I can't say all right. I can't start out that way. Okay, hold on. Let me think how we're going to do this. Should we be like, hi, guys? Like, everyone starts out like that. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Action. Hi, guys. My name is Rochelle Gonzalez.
And my name's Amanda Porta.
Oh, shit. This is going to take so long.
That's too formal. I'm just going to go with just Amanda.
Hi guys, my name's Rochelle. This is my friend Amanda, and welcome to the Breast Decision Take 2. I was gonna say podcast.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Action. Hi guys, I'm Rochelle. This is my friend Amanda, and welcome to the Breast Decision Show. We are starting this show based off of something that we have in common, which is BII. I know a lot of you have been with me through my whole journey, have documented the whole thing on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram, and now I'm bringing in my friend Amanda to share her story, and we are putting this show together just to reach out to those who have suffered from BII as well, who want to know more about BII, life after BII, and for those of you who are getting ready to explant. So let's talk about how we met.
We did through our friend Glennie.
Glenn, thank you, Glenn.
I miss you.
When did you explant again?
It's been 10.5 weeks.
What date was it?
Oh, it was February 21st.
February 21st. So Amanda explanted February 21st, and then I explanted March 12th. Yeah, so very close. And I know I was supposed to call you before I explanted, but I was so nervous for surgery. I was just like, I don't even want to talk to anyone. Like, I'll call her after. But Glenn hooked us up through a DM message on Instagram, and he was like, hey, Rochelle, you need to meet my friend Amanda. She's going through the same thing as you. So here we are. Now we're linked up, and now we're going to have this show.
Linked up, yes. And you know, I never would have thought to speak publicly about any of this. I really felt like my body and my psyche had been through enough. I just planned to have the surgery and really put this chapter behind me. But when I found out how many people, women specifically with breast implant illness, but people who are suffering from the autoimmune response that sometimes medical devices cause them, I can't be quiet. I just couldn't. So this is really, I think, going to be helpful to a lot of people, that you can see we've been through it, we've come out the other side, and now we're just rebuilding our bodies and our lives after this.
And look at these smiles.
Yeah.
Like, this is
feel good.
Yeah. This will be a lot of stuff about life after explanting. And I've told so many women who have reached out to me, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I will always say that. Like, it feels like life is just over when you're going through it, but it's not forever. So just remember that. But since you guys know my story and my journey, I would love for Amanda to go ahead and tell us her story and what she went through with BII.
I'll try to condense it because it's a long one. It's one that lasted 7 years. So I remember actually I remember where I was the day that I feel like it all started. It was in December of 2012. I remember exactly where I was in the kitchen, and the best way I can describe it, it felt like a wave of something came over me. I actually got really dizzy, almost like I would guess a vertigo type feeling. I remember having to brace myself on the kitchen counter. It was like that powerful. And in the days after that, it was a sensation in my chest that continued until explant, that now I can best describe as, I think it's inflammation, massive amounts of inflammation. But at the time, you know, it was December, that's flu and cold season. I didn't have a cold, but I remember saying to my mom after several weeks of this, something doesn't feel right in my chest. Maybe it's bronchitis, like I'd never had bronchitis before. And by the way, up until this point, I've always been very, very healthy. There were a few red flags, and I'll probably talk about that later along the way. But you know, I had implants for the first time in 2003. And so now we're talking 2012. So there were quite a few years there before I got sick, like about 8 years.
8 years.
And that's true for a lot of women.
Yeah.
I find, though, that I think the more we talk about it, and that's why we're doing this, the more recognizable the symptoms will be. And that's really just my wish for other women, is that they'll recognize the symptoms earlier.
Yeah.
And so then they can figure out what they want to do about it earlier. I don't want anybody to suffer for the amount of time that I did, because it was pretty awful. We all did.
So bad.
So in saying that, so go to the doctor finally after a few weeks. I'm not sure what this feeling is, and listen to my chest. You have pleurisy. Okay, I'd never heard that word before. That? I actually worked in plastic surgery for over 15 years. It's actually an inflammation of the chest wall. And I said, how do I get it better? It will just get better on its own. You probably had a virus and you got it from that. Fine. Several months later, I'm still feeling this feeling. It wasn't painful, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
And I went to another doctor, this time a naturopath, and the doctor listened and said, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it sounds like pleurisy. I said, okay, tell me how to get rid of this pleurisy. I've never felt this before. I'm going to give you a steroid. So the doctor did.
Steroids fix everything.
Well, yeah, but they're so bad for you. Yeah. So I did that, and actually it did feel a little bit better for a second. But then it came back, and I went to Arizona, I remember that year, for spring break, thinking like, ooh, this will make my chest actually feel better, right? Because it's a dry environment.
Yeah.
Wrong. That trip was so miserable for me. I felt so lightheaded, that vertigo-y, awful feeling, and the feeling in my chest. As soon as I landed, I went straight to the ER.
Wow.
That's how, and I'm not a drama queen. I've, like I said, never been sick before, but I felt compelled to feel like I needed to go to the
something's
ER.
Not right.
Yeah, I never felt that bad for that long a period of time.
Yeah.
So I went to the ER. It was interesting. While they're doing the exam and you're kind of explaining to them what's going on, of course, they always want to say, like, heart attack, or you think you're having a heart attack, or so they'll usually admit you pretty quickly when you know that it's like something in your chest that you're describing. As they were seeing me in the ER, it was funny. Somebody had called the residing doctor there, the head, I guess, of the ER, whoever was on call that day. And he kind of got involved. And then it's so weird. He kept having me walk around the corridor. And I couldn't figure out why he was doing that. And finally, he'd have me walk around and he'd take my pulse. Then he'd have me walk around, he'd take my pulse. I finally said, what are we doing here? And he said, I'm looking at you, and you look so healthy to me. Because this was before you start looking bad, which we will talk about later. That could be a whole segment in itself. He said, you look so healthy, but when I take your pulse, it's like that of a dead person. Yes. And I've heard that from other women. Yeah. And so, of course, when someone's saying that to you, you're thinking to yourself, what does this even mean? And they had me take something called a D-dimer test. It's a blood test. And it is your D-dimer count. Didn't even know what that was. Well,
I don't know what that is either.
That is a measure of if you're going to have a stroke.
Wow. And
having just got off a plane, it made so much sense to me. I thought, okay, that's it. That's what this is. I'm going to have a stroke. I don't know where this came from, but at least I'm here in the hospital where they can take care of me, and my life's going to totally change.
Yeah.
Well, they take the MRIs, they take the CAT scans, they take the X-rays, whatever they were doing. Everything looks good. But it was so, and that was my first experience with what would go on to be many tests, all of which come back normal. And that will be important to talk about later, because as many women with this affliction will tell you, they had the same experience, and that's why it is so hard to figure out what it is, and that's why it takes so long. So that doctor was so concerned, though, I remember, that he actually called my primary care, who he didn't even know. He got her number from me. He said, you need to see her tomorrow. I don't really want to let her leave the hospital, but we can't keep her here because we've done every test there is to take. And so,
But you knew your pulse wasn't right, so he was probably like, something is strange
really
here.
perplexed and thought it was very strange. I know, I'd love to find that doctor again and say this is what it ended up to be. So I go to my primary care that week, and again, yes, she agrees, inflammation in the chest wall. Now she's calling it costochondritis. Never heard that word before.
Now on to the second thing.
No, there's a second thing. Again, why do I have this? Inflammation of the chest wall. By the way, too, no practitioner ever asked along the way, and I didn't think of it either, do you have breast implants? Ever, never, ever, never came up. So now when I go to my doctor for my annual, etc., I tell them what it ended up to be and the symptoms, so that if anybody else comes in complaining of these weird things, they know to talk to them about it. So what do you do to get rid of costochondritis? You don't use your chest muscles. That sounds easy, but let me tell you, it's not. It's like when you get implants for the first time and it's under your muscle.
Oh, yeah.
You know how difficult that is? You can't even flush the toilet. You can't even do the little, simple things that are just everyday things. Yeah. So I didn't work all summer. Took the summer off, thinking that would do it. Still didn't feel right. And inflammation is kind of coming and going. I say that because when we're talking about these kind of autoimmune symptoms that happen as a result of this for some people, inflammation, that is what is causing this, which is incredibly scary and dangerous and not healthy. And it will come on relatively quickly, so you kind of think, oh, I'm just kind of gaining a few pounds. I look a little fluffy, if you will. But it's inflammation. So I moved back to Los Angeles. I'm hiking one day up to the Hollywood sign with my friend, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I mean, just as clear as day. My girlfriend, who's known me forever, she thought I was joking, obviously, or thought I was being dramatic, which I absolutely was not. I really felt like that. And again, so many women I talk to say the same thing. I thought I was having a heart attack. Or again, I've never had one, so
I've been there, plenty of times where I thought I was having a heart attack.
It's tightness, it's
tight, it's sharp pain,
palpitations, So went to Cedars, spent the whole evening there, did the echocardiograms, etc. Nothing. You're fine. Yeah. So then the doctors just kind of look at you like, oh, you've got anxiety. And yeah, I was getting anxiety because I was scared. I knew something wasn't right, and I didn't feel like anybody had an answer. And I felt like every test is coming back normal. Yeah. And the doctor would say it with just such a smile on his face, like, well, so everything's great. And I'm thinking, no everything's so not great. I can tell you that for sure. So it went on, and there would be days that would be better than not. I think because for me, I always kind of struggled with totally being on the healthy side. I always could just kind of eat whatever I wanted. And I always have been very busy working, sometimes it's just easier when you're working long hours to grab something fast. So the first practitioners I started to see, and we'll get into this more because I think that would be an amazing segment in itself, to talk about the lengths that all of us go to, and the amount of practitioners you see and the amount of treatments you try. It just goes on and on. But I started seeing nutritionists because I thought, maybe this does have something to do with what I'm eating. I'm not sure. And I remember the first gentleman, he said, okay, so tell me, what's your diet? And I said, Mexican food. And he's like, is that all? And I said, yeah, pretty well, and Mexican beer. And Mexican beer.
Oh yeah, I forgot the beer.
Obviously, those two things do not bode well with nutritionists. So of course he said, let's, clean that up. So for a time, I will say I would be able to get the symptoms under control. And now knowing what it is and knowing so much about it is because I was alkaline in my body. And so when I kept it alkaline, we were good. The inflammation would go down, my body would want to go right back to how it was supposed to be. I would feel a little bit better, but that nagging feeling in my chest and that overall just kind of feeling of malaise, which is just basically feeling bad every day. You just kind of feel under the weather. You feel almost like it's like a low-grade infection.
Yeah.
Would feel like that feeling when you know you have strep or you know you have
Yeah.
a sinus infection and you got to get on antibiotics.
Yeah.
And you feel so bad, and then they kick in and you're like,
Yeah.
I feel normal
Yeah.
again. I feel alive again.
Mm-hmm.
It was that sort of feeling. So anyway, this went on and off, but I never let go of the fact that something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, I have to say, she was my biggest support system through all of this. She never doubted me.
I was just going to ask you that, who your support system was through all of this. Because that's huge for a lot of women out there, too. A lot reach out without a support system, and it breaks my heart.
Of course, I have so many amazing girlfriends, and they were incredible. So many. I mean, they must have thought I was nuts. I'm sure they were so sick of hearing about me being sick.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to share with just anyone. Mm-hmm. And I think what was interesting with some of my guy friends I know, when I finally figured out what it was and said, oh my God, this is really a major thing. I think a lot of them said, well, we didn't know you were that sick.
Yeah.
Because, that's not something that you really want to share. Mm-hmm. A, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. But B, when you're around people, you want to kind of put your best foot forward. I was trying to kind of play it off. But inside, I felt like my body was just totally letting me down.
Oh, yeah.
I just felt like I couldn't control it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I realized what a control freak I am through this whole process.
Yeah.
In the end, when things were so bad, I have to say, just to maintain and get the inflammation down, now it's like it's getting more and more and more difficult to control the inflammation. I had very dry eyes. I don't know if that's more to do with the sinuses or the toxins that are going on in your body, where I started having to wear glasses a lot of the day.
That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm. There was a ringing in my ears that I will never, ever forget, that feeling of having to clear your ears like you do on a plane.
Yeah, I got that.
Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Somebody said that that's inflammation, by the way. Because I just had this laundry list of symptoms that were so weird. And, nobody... like I said, nobody ever asked about any implants at all.
Yeah.
And so now when people say, oh, well, you should have known, any implant could have that effect. No.
It's like, no.
No.
Let's not go there.
Nobody said, you can get these breast implants, but just know that one day
it's going to cause this. And if that was the case, I'm pretty sure that would be on doctor forms where you're like, no, I don't have diabetes. No, I don't have high blood pressure. Oh, yes, I do have implants. So it's like, if the implants if that was the case, then I'm pretty sure it'd be on every survey or, paperwork that you did at the doctor's office.
Right.
So.
No, in if somebody said to me, you can have this procedure, but just so you know, in 8 years, you're going to get so sick that it's going to, essentially rob you of your life for 7
just
years.
Like we said, it's like we were just existing. We weren't living.
Yeah.
We were just then that's exactly how you feel.
Yeah. I say that a lot because I feel like women who've been through this, or men who've been through this sort of thing with other medical devices, I suppose, I can only speak for BII, but that's really the sentiment of a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I think the way that I just kind of best describe it is you're out at sea, you're in the water, you can see on the ship all of your friends and family and doctors, but nobody's throwing you that life preserver.
Yeah.
Nobody's wants to throw. So you're treading water.
Yeah.
Like I was treading water for 7 years, trying not to drown.
Yeah.
And that's how alone you feel.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's not. So I would imagine I had to have been depressed, but
Oh, my depression was bad.
Yeah, I had more anxiety, and that's what a lot of the women have.
Both.
But I think I might have, I had to,
like,
right?
Bad anxiety and bad depression. I was just like...
you were thinking you are never, ever going to, feel right again.
Exactly.
Feel normal
you don't know.
again.
Yeah.
Feel good again. And you're thinking, and no one's ever going to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to like die one day, whenever that is.
Yeah.
And no one's ever going to know what happened to me that
you literally
day
feel
in
like you're
December.
dying. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's ever. And I will say this too, because again, the coincidences go on and on and on. All of the women who you hear complain say, I said I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, that's such a weird statement for so many people to make, because yeah, you feel miserable, but you know, dying, like how do we even say that? How does dying, that's just such a terrible thing. We don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I would say if you were kind of slowly being poisoned, you would kind of say, I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
And we're slowly
being poisoned
by the chemicals
that just gave me chills.
In the implants, as well as our bodies having this autoimmune reaction to them.
Yeah. Tell me about the day you were like, oh my God, I just found out about BII. Oh my God, it's my implants. Like, when did you finally figure out it was your implants?
And let me say, and I'm going to say it again, I worked in plastic surgery for over 15 years.
Yeah.
I was sick with this illness for 7 years. Looking back, though, there were some little red flags along the way, which I know we had some similar ones, so we can talk about those later. I had never heard of breast implant illness until Crystal Hefner came out, and that would have been in 2017.
Which, for those of you who don't know, was Hugh Hefner's wife when he passed. So his most recent wife.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So she was in the headlines a lot.
Yeah.
And I said to my doctor at the time, who I trusted, who did primarily breast augmentation, ironically enough, during this whole time that I'm complaining every day to whomever would listen, I'm sick, I don't feel right. And you know, a lot of these people that I would tell, they didn't necessarily know me for a long period of time. Like, they didn't know me from before 2012, some of the people I worked with. So for them, they just think everything's normal and this is just me. And I'm saying to them, like, no, my hair is falling out. I lost all the color in my skin. Did that happen to you? I mean, you're so nice and cocoa. I don't think so.
I don't think that could ever happen.
But I did. I was so pale. I looked like I was a dead person forever. But people say that because it's your circulation.
Wait, you know what? Actually, I'm going to pause right there. And we can even call my mom. She... Actually, multiple times, she has said my skin looked gray to her.
Yes.
But my mom did say when I saw her in Seattle and when she came here a couple times that my skin did look gray. Now that I remember. It's so funny because you start remembering things.
I know.
Our memory was gone. But yeah, so I did have the skin thing too.
It's so much. Yeah, and it's because everything is slowing down in your body because the fight between your immune system and whatever is there is stronger than anything else.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
your doctor said she was crazy, Crystal.
Yeah, said that she and women who talked about this, and I don't even think I knew the BII part of it. Like, I didn't even know the name. And I did say at that point, I said, well, so maybe I should just remove mine and just replace them. That's kind of where I was. And he absolutely said, no, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Meaning if you don't have any issues, because you are kind of opening up a Pandora's box of having another surgery, replacing them, you can run into more problems. Okay, so I don't look into it. Why would I? Because my doctor, my boss, who I trusted, was telling me that this was coming from someone who was crazy, which I don't think that about this woman. I'm sure she's just lovely. And there's no such thing. So, literally in one ear, out the other, and that was in 2017. Things just kind of continued. I didn't have any really dramatic episodes after that. It was just kind of one of those things I was living with every day. But I knew that even though my blood test showed otherwise that things were normal, my thyroid I knew was off. I was trying natural things for that. Later come to find out, like, my pituitary gland and my adrenals were all off too. And that's your sleep and your rest and your body replenishing.
Yeah.
I did not sleep and get real sleep. So when I say that, my eyes were shut at night. I didn't get real sleep for 7 years.
That is so crazy.
I know, that sounds really crazy. And for 4 years of that, always up at 3 in the morning, and that's your adrenals. When you do that thing where you're up at 3 and you can't fall asleep, and when you do finally fall asleep, it's time for your alarm clock to go off. That's the worst feeling ever. But yeah, and that was one of the first things that I noticed that got better after I got my implants out. For the first week, I slept.
Oh yeah,
I
heard that.
slept for hours.
Oh, and I remember that feeling. Ooh, the day after surgery,
Yeah.
I woke up and I was just like, I've never felt this rested before. Like, I woke up with my eyes not burning for the first time in 3 years. And I was just like, I'm really awake. Like, I feel rested and I'm really awake. Like, you forget what that feels like.
Yeah. And that thing, whatever it was that I say, it's called malaise, or just an overall feeling of feeling bad.
Yeah.
Feeling like you have an infection or gone.
That's so crazy.
You feel normal again. So that feeling, like I said, like I'm never going to feel what normal feels like again. I feel normal again. I just feel like me again.
Yeah.
Not everything is perfect yet. Not everything is healed.
But it's such a huge difference.
Huge. And we could go on. That will be another segment on getting your energy back after BII and thinking that you can take on the world. Oh yeah. And we're both kind of thinking that right now.
Oh yeah.
And we and it feels so good, but you do have those moments. I had a day last week where I just was down and I just was tired and I was feeling like I didn't have energy, and I think I called you and I was like, I'm having a day.
Yeah, but it's in my last vlog too, where Dr. Chun said, you only have so much energy in your energy tank, and we have to remember that we are still healing, and it takes up to a year to heal. So he's like, you're gonna feel like you can go, and you might have a bad day,
right?
Plenty good days, but then you might have a bad day, and he's like, but that's normal. Don't feel discouraged. Like, you're still healing. But it's so hard to remember that because we feel great.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, though. It is a good reminder. So we can't act like everything's all gravy right now, because it's not quite all gravy yet, but it's close. So how did I find out? I was going to have colonics by a woman in Santa Monica who's amazing. And we didn't know each other well, but I knew just from the few times that I'd been to her. I think maybe I went to her 5 times. And this was December of 2018. So just, 5 months ago. I knew that she was very intuitive. And I was telling her, something's not right. But at this point, I'm not even really getting into it with new practitioners. Because I kind of had just exhausted every type of Eastern practitioner.
Everything you're feeling
my God, I was
over
so tired
and over.
Of telling the story. Like, you can't keep telling it again and again.
For someone to tell you you're healthy.
Yeah, but I was showing her the swelling in my legs, which wasn't normal. And she said, I feel like, something's wrong, but she just couldn't really tell me what. So I will never forget. It was the week between Christmas and New Year's. And I went in for a session with her. And as I was laying there, she was working on, my lymph right here. It was really swollen. And she said, I know why you're sick. And I just thought, lay it on me. Like, what now? What are you going to add to it? Because, so far it's like just, right? All these people throwing all of these possible diagnoses at me. And I'm really intuitive and I really know my body. And if something doesn't resonate with me, I would say, no, that's not it. Like with all the thyroid, I'm not saying it wasn't off, but I knew that my condition was not because of my thyroid or whatever they were trying to tell me. So she says, it's your breast implants.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I just got chills.
I know, I did too.
You can't see,
and I got defensive at first. And I actually really feel bad about that. Although she and I see each other, and I thank her every time for helping to save my life. I got really, really, just kind of, I don't know, I was taken aback because I worked in the industry. And I said to her, and that was kind of part of my defense, are you judging me for having plastic surgery and you just aren't into that?
Did it not click when she said that to the Crystal Hefner story? Did it not click at the moment?
Not clicking. And I got quiet after I got a little defensive with her. I got quiet, but then I said, and I remember exactly, I said, well, why do you think that's it.
Yeah, you're
So
like, oh wait, tell me more.
obviously, I'm kind of in the back of my mind being like, maybe this girl is right.
Yeah.
And she said, because 11 other women have laid on this very bed and sounded just like you. And as soon as they get the implants out, they're better.
Oh my gosh! I have chills.
No, it
all
was,
over.
and I was just by myself. It was just such a quiet week. My mom and I, we'd already celebrated our, holiday
Was this
together.
the first time you've seen her for an appointment?
No, the 5th time.
And you just never told her like
I was
what you were
telling her I wasn't feeling well, and she was kind of.
She was probably just taking it all
She was,
in.
taking it all in. Who knows? She may have known from the beginning, but just didn't know how to tell you, maybe, or thought that I might react
the way
that I did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, so I say that, but I leave there not convinced, and definitely in denial, and definitely in shock, and definitely like, nice try, good guess, but probably not.
Yeah.
2 days later, one of my guy friends, and I have to applaud him for this, and I tell him all the time, good for you, as a man, listening to, my symptoms, and he called me, Happy New Year, yada yada, how's life? I said, I'm still not feeling good. And he said, whenever you talk about your symptoms, you sound just like my friend, blankety blank. And I said, she's still sick? Because, they're up in Washington, so I, don't talk to everybody all the time. Yeah, you should call her. Which was just really smart on his part. So I did. I called her the next day, and I start telling her my symptoms, and she says, I need you to go and look on this private Facebook page that ended up being Nicole's breast implant illness, which is one of the first Facebook private groups to be put together. Never ever had heard of it before. Something like, at that time, over 60,000 members.
That's crazy.
Well, what was crazier is reading post after post after post, and I'm by myself. It's the holidays. It was quiet. I had some time by myself, and they all sounded like me. They're all saying the same symptoms. They're all saying things like, I feel like I'm going to die. I've been to every doctor there is. I've been dealing with this for years. I have so much anxiety. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. My one thing that I will say during all of this, and I mean, I can't even say like what the worst part was. I would have to say was, you feel really alone. Really alone, because nobody has an answer for you, and you're just like, I'm just little old me. You can't even figure out what's wrong with me, and it's not even a feeling like they want to help. They're kind of dismissing you. They're kind of wanting to give you a drug to just kind of get out of their hair. One doc actually said to me in December of 2016, when we had taken so many tests, none of them ended up to be positive. Everything looked normal. He said, I need you to go and get an HIV test. And I said, wait, what? Where's that coming from?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
Totally random.
I want to find that doctor and just be like, really?
And he said, these, again, I will quote, people like you, people like me, whatever that is, people like you, who we take every test and it's normal, but you're still complaining, that's the next thing we go to. I don't even know if I believe that. That sounds a little drastic. And he said, oh, and I'll call you with your results when I'm back from my 2-week vacation. That was the real slam dunk.
All right, dickhead.
Yeah, that did not go over well with me.
Wow.
So, but in a way, I have to say, this is the only thing that, when I found out that this condition is called cancer of the immune system, I have to say it's such a good term for this, because I would say to my mom, it's like every system in my body is being attacked. Which it was, because that's autoimmune. But see, at the time, I wasn't correlating autoimmune because I don't have any of that in my family. I had never had any issues with that before. So that just was not on my radar at all. Because your immune system becomes so busy with that foreign invader, which is the medical device, it cannot protect your body against anything else. So slowly, everything does kind of slow down and stop functioning properly.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, so that's how I found out, from the woman who does my colonics and
That
through
is
one of
so
my guy
crazy.
friends. And I do want to say too, and this is kind of crazy, every day since that day that she told me, I have seen either a sign, I've experienced some sort of little miracle, I've read something, I've had a serendipity, I've seen, France is banning implants, or Canada is banning implants,
Yeah.
or the FDA is meeting. They have all told me, you're on the right track.
Oh, yeah.
You're on the right track.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
That's
strange
so
timing of it all.
crazy.
And then, as we know, this has just exploded at the same time. It's not like I found out 4 years ago and now it's all coming out.
You went through it for so long.
I literally found out at the beginning of the year, and then it all started coming out every day. I mean, I thought I was in a movie. Like, that's what it feels like.
Crazy. That's kind of how I always wonder if that's how it happened for women, because that's how it happened for me. It's like I always tell people I was so sick for 3 years, which I was, but now that I think about it, because you start remembering things, because memory loss is a huge symptom. I got my implants in 2006. My symptoms actually started 2010, but they really, like, when shit hit the fan and all my symptoms were like crazy and I was crazy sick, was after I had my son. And I've heard from some women, sometimes it takes,
Yes.
something to happen to your body, like a birth,
Yes.
for your symptoms to just
It
go
does.
nuts.
Yeah, with
and it literally,
autoimmune.
and so a lot of people were just like, it's postpartum this, it's postpartum that. I'm like, okay, my son is 2.5 now.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not postpartum anything.
No,
Like,
no, right.
go screw yourself. But
No, but they'll blame it on your age. Oh, you just had a baby.
But- oh, yeah,
you just
all
went
that
through
stuff.
a divorce.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
whatever
you're
it
just
is.
stressed.
Yeah, you're just stressed.
But no, yeah, same thing. My cousin Lindsay brought it to my attention. I was at the gym, and then she's like, have you heard of Angie Lee? Everyone knows the Angie Lee show. She has a podcast on her explant, and then from her, I found breast implant illness page, and then that's when I saw all the symptoms on there, and I started bawling at the
Yeah.
gym because I had 35 of the 40 symptoms.
Yeah.
And I was looking at these pictures of these women with body rashes, alopecia, bald spots that I had, the depression, anxiety, like, yeah, I had the random, like, every time I'd get a body rash, it'd be on my stomach.
I had it right here.
Yeah, mine were always
It would
right
just be
here.
right here.
That's so weird.
I know. Always right here. But, the implants are right there, and so I guess that makes sense. But it wouldn't be all
my
the
God,
time.
that's so crazy.
It only happened for me a few times. Some women, I'm surprised my skin didn't look worse. Now, I definitely looked, and this is strange too, I would keep saying to people, it's like I've aged 10 years overnight.
Yeah. Oh,
And so when I started reading that, the women would write, I look so old all of a sudden. And I'm thinking, that's so weird, because I was saying that too. And I've already been told by friends, are like, you already look more normal. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
only been 2.5 months. I don't look
Grant.
totally, but...
for all of you guys who don't know Grant, my
Yeah.
fiance, he's just like, your face is so much skinnier.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, dang, you were swollen. I was
Oh,
like, oh yeah. I
so
look in the
swollen.
mirror and I hated
Yeah.
my face. I hated taking pictures. Like, I was like, I don't look like how I used to.
No.
Like, I don't feel
No.
like I used to have confidence,
Yeah.
but like when I was sick, I had zero, and I just hated the way I looked.
Yeah.
I hated everything.
Yeah, it took
My
everything
hair.
just to get yourself together to, like, go to a function or something.
Oh, my depression got bad when we moved here. It was the worst it's ever been. I wasn't getting ready. I didn't even want to shower,
Right.
like, put makeup on. And then I'd look in the mirror and be like, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, I used to be that girl who would have her hair and makeup done, and I would have nothing to do. But
Yeah.
I'd get ready every single day
Yeah.
and look my best every single
Yeah.
day. But
Yeah.
I just did not want to get ready at all, and it got to the point where I didn't shower for a couple days, and I was
Right.
just wearing sweats, and I'd take
Yeah.
Jackson on a walk, and even that was hard. But I mean,
Well-
there's so much to talk about.
So much to talk. And I will say too, and that reminds me of it. When your immune system becomes so depleted, we are susceptible to things lingering in our body, and so a lot of women will contract Lyme disease if they had like a tick bite years and years before. I contracted Epstein-Barr, which is mono.
Oh wow!
And if you know anything about mono, obviously at some point over the years, I must have come into contact. I remember I had a girlfriend in high school who had it, so maybe perhaps I was exposed to it, but I never had it. I'd never been sick like that. The exhaustion that it brings, and then couple that with your thyroid and your adrenals not working, quite frankly, I cannot believe we got out of bed in the morning. I can't believe it.
Oh, and with a toddler, that was so hard for me. Because he's up at 7 a.m. every morning. Yeah. I literally, the way I felt every time I had to wake up with Jackson, literally my eyes would water. I just wanted to start crying. Yeah. Because I'm like, I'm not ready to wake up. I can't get out of this bed, but I had no choice.
Of course.
Because I had to put on the cartoons. I had to make the breakfast, and I would just literally wanted to cry.
I can't imagine.
Every single morning. Yeah, I'm just thankful he's young enough to not remember me that way, because I was a mess.
Yeah.
And I know we have a lot to talk about. Yeah. But that's what's going to be exciting about more episodes to come is I want to talk about just like support systems. I want to talk about losing friends. I want to talk about just how we got through every day to push ourselves. There's so many questions that I get, and it'd be awesome if you can go through your DMs. I'll go through my DMs. Okay. We'll write down a bunch of questions. A lot of you have. I know I said that in my last vlog, but I think it'd be cool to do it on here with Amanda. Mm-hmm. Do it together. But I will write down all the questions I've been getting, and we'll make sure to do episodes on those topics too. But
please do. No topics off limits, right?
Yeah, no topics off limits. So
like if we're going to do this, girl, we got to do it.
Oh, yeah. We are here to answer questions. We're here to be real and open and raw. No sugarcoating anything.
No sugarcoating. And the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Everything.
And it is ugly. You got hit with the ugly stick.
It's the big ugly stick. But yeah, we have so many exciting episodes to make, but that was Amanda's story, which is...
In a nutshell.
And I just, oh my God, I just want to hear everyone's story.
I know.
You know?
Well, there's so many similarities.
So many.
That's the weirdest part. Yeah. But it's really banded women together through all
of this. It
really has. Me meeting you. I've met so many lovely women. I have another business partner. We're creating a nonprofit organization
that's so cool.
on the East Coast. And I have to say, I will say it again, I learned more about this illness and figuring out what was going on through women who were going through it. Mm-hmm. And that's why, too, we're trying to support the rest of them. Because can you imagine finding out what's been making you sick this whole time?
Oh, yeah.
And it's inside you, and you're not going to get better until it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And then some, of course, because we've spent so much money on trying to figure it out, they can't afford to. And there are hundreds of thousands of women right now with our particular illness who cannot afford the surgery and are really, really suffering. Yeah. So that's what my nonprofit is I'm hoping to do, is to raise money to give away to some women to pay for their explants.
And I just hope this gets just so big that insurances start really considering covering.
I just had one of my members on my Facebook page actually say that she was accepted by her insurance that paid for it this week. So I said, I'd like to know how you did that.
Yes, please.
Because this is a very expensive illness to have. I think if anybody knew that getting implants could turn into actually hundreds of thousands of dollars over time, you would rethink it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and literally just take your life. Literally take your life from you. But, yes, that is it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm so excited. That was our first episode to the breast decision.
The breast decision.
Because it was the breast decision we've ever made is to explant, so that's how we got that name. But, like I said, we have so many more episodes and subjects to touch on. This is going to be just... ongoing. So comment down below of things that you guys want us to touch on or talk about. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Bye-bye.